If you woke up on a space station under attack from intergalactic monsters with no memories of who you are or where you're from, what would you do? That's exactly how the game Honkai Star Rail kicks off. No more sitting back and watching a scenario play out in a movie, How to Beat Crew. This time we're getting involved and putting you front and center with a new game from the Hoyoverse studio. You probably know Hoyoverse Studio from their hit game Genshin Impact. But this time, we're headed to space for this high-octane, turn-based combat RPG. So it's free to play and cross-platform, available on PC and mobile, and now on PlayStation 5, with seamless data synchronization across all devices. With over 80 million downloads in the first 6 months alone, this game is truly global. Embark on a captivating space adventure as the Trailblazer, exploring diverse worlds with stunning animation and music. With over 20 charming and playable characters, each with a unique personality and backstory. Before your journey as the Trailblazer even begins though, you'll play as Silverwolf and Kafka. They're working with someone named Elio, who seems to understand and see the future, or at least possible futures, and are hunting for a mysterious item called the Stellaron on a space station that is under attack by monsters. They team up eventually and do battle, using a mix of skills and ability to defeat beasts known as the Antimatter Legion. Silverwolf and Kafka make quick work of some of the Antimatter goons, using their various abilities and teamwork, and eventually locate the Stellaron, and also the Trailblazer, aka you. They note that the Trailblazer's memory has been wiped, and Kafka, for reasons unclear, forces the Stellaron inside of you, bringing you to life. As you gain consciousness, you're in a weakened state. You don't seem startled by Kafka or Silverwolf. Both seem to be on your side as you begin to come to. Kafka and Silverwolf do let you know that you're about to kick off an incredible journey filled with hardships, but also friends. You're still weak though, and end up passing out. Just want to make sure everyone is still with me, so let me dumb it down a bit. A space fight is happening between two people who can see the future and space monsters. A glowing ball gets pushed into you, bringing you to life before you pass out. Boom! You're up to speed. You wake up once more and are introduced to some crew members from the Astral Express, some sort of intergalactic ship. One is named March 7th, strangely enough, and the other is Dan Hang. I guess if you're going to be named after a date, March 7th is a pretty good one. They seem to be non-threatening and explain that they are there on a rescue mission at the request of a head researcher named Asta. Your memory, as stated before, is gone, and while you get your wits about you, you make the decision to clear out the space station of bad guys, and join March 7th and Dan Hang on their mission to link up with Asta. Before you go, you pick up a club and get to work. Now before we get too deep at this point in the game, a lot of stuff unlocks, including the ability to control and manage your squad you get to do battle with. The more you progress through the game, the more characters you'll unlock. And there are lots of different strategies for building a successful squad in Honkai Star Rail. Here are some general tips and things to consider though. You'll want to have a mix of different roles for your team, such as DPS or damage per second. Synergy is key. Make sure the characters on your team work well together. For example, you might pair a DPS character with a support character who can buff their attacks. Upgrading your characters and equipment is also important. This will make them stronger and more effective in battle. Lastly, experiment with different strategies. What works for one player might not work for another, so don't be afraid to try different things. Ultimately, there is no surefire way to compose a squad in Star Rail, so feel free to do things on your own and approach things creatively in order to win. To start though, it's just you, a random space cub, and a gal named March 7th. Turns out you're pretty handy with that space club though. Between you smashing and March 7th having a freezing and healing ability, you make a pretty great pair. There seems to be some confusion though as to who you are. And March 7th keeps on making comments about how she thinks you're an employee of the space station. You continue onwards though, and after making quick work of several more Antimatter Legion minions, you're reconnected with Dan Hang and also make contact with the space station head of security named Arlen. Arlen heads out, so the three of you team up and head towards the Master Control Zone in order to regain full control of the station. On the way, you'll continue running into the Antimatter Legion and collect items while leveling up. I'm talking about light cones, traces, abilities, and more. There really is a full stack of different customizations and paths forward when it comes to your character and others' builds. Before you head up to the Master Control Zone, you narrowly escape being decapitated by a beast called a Void Trampler. Luckily, Dan Heng intervenes at the very last second and blocks the attack with his staff thingy. Now, let's discuss how to beat. See what I did there? A Void Trampler. It's no easy task. This is your first formidable foe. They have a massive charge-up ability that can do serious damage and also have extra actions that essentially doubles their attacks. Try and manage each character's special abilities, and don't forget to utilize March 7th's healing, so all of your squad can stay healthy. In addition, make sure to take out the minions surrounding the Void Trampler first, using area of effect attacks and specials when possible. As soon as you think you've defeated the Void Trampler, he summons around 50 more bad guys out of nowhere. Lucky for you, some divine intervention is headed your way. A helicopter drone appears and attacks the horde, buying you some time to head up the elevator and escape to the control zone. There, you're greeted by another new face, Himiko, who introduces herself as the navigator for the Astral Express. She also just happens to be the person who just saved you. She chats briefly before saying you should go and meet Asta, who is worried about the crewmates. Asta is the lead researcher whose name has been brought up a few times in earlier conversations. She welcomes you, and then says another attack is en route. In the meantime, though, you get to explore the wonders that are the control zone of the space station and bring your squad up to full strength, aka 4. Some more specialty skills unlock as well as even more possible crew members. You spend a decent amount of time getting to know various researchers and crew members of the station, having a very cute and fun time. But eventually, a major warning appears. Something called a Doomsday Beast is attacking the station. If you're thinking a Doomsday Beast is bad, you're right. It's very bad. A massive intergalactic monster that Dan Heng mentions casually is the Antimatter Legion's planet destroyer. Asta demands that you head to the Astral Express while she buys you some time. An incredibly brave move, I might add. You and the crew dip out of there faster than you can say Honkai Star Rail. As you're making your way to the Express, you dispatch some more minions with the full squad. With all 4 at your disposal now, you should be able to start figuring out some synergies and noticing the different weaknesses certain monsters have. As you approach the starport, you notice that the Astral Express is missing, so you try to get a better look only to be interrupted by, yeah, you guessed it, the Doomsday Beast we discussed earlier. This is your first big boss, so here are some tips for taking him on. Focus on the hands. Prioritize breaking the Doomsday Beast's hands, Dawn's left hand, and Disaster's right hand to expose its core, which is the antimatter engine. Exploit weaknesses. Use the elemental attacks to break the Doomsday Beast's weaknesses and temporarily disable its defenses. Manage toughness. Break the Doomsday Beast's hands to reduce its overall toughness, making it more susceptible to damage. I most likely would focus on one hand before moving on to the other. Utilize ultimates. Use character ultimates strategically to unleash powerful attacks and gain an advantage. Himiko in particular has a large energy cannon ability that calls a cannon from space to blast a monster. Space cannons are notoriously good against space monsters. It's just common sense, guys. Maintain healing and support. This is crucial, right? Keep your team healed and supported to avoid falling victim to the Doomsday Beast's powerful attacks. March 7th is the only one on the team with healing abilities, so keep her managing your squad's health. Adapt to phase changes. Be prepared to adjust your strategy as the battle progresses, and the Doomsday Beast enters different phases. Right when you think the battle is over and the Doomsday Beast is defeated, it shoots out a massive energy blast as its death cry, right towards our girl March 7th. Very not cool, Mr. Doomsday Beast. You decide to sacrifice yourself and throw yourself in front of the blast to take the damage. Here's where things get weird. A dream sequence begins as you absorb the blast, with you floating slowly towards a giant man in the sky with a massive hole in his chest. You hear an ethereal voice say, you must reach the end of your story in your own way before you snap back to reality and see the Stellaron inside of you starting to go haywire. Massive energy seems to be bursting out of you, knocking the Doomsday Beast backwards as well as your friends. More and more energy pours out of you until some random guy in glasses smacks you in the head with a cane, knocking you out cold once once again. I bet you're full of questions. What is the Stellaron? Who are Kafka and Silverwolf? Who is Elia? Who and or what are you, and what is the secret to your mysterious past? What is the Astral Express, and where do you fit in? Well, there's only one way to find out. Download Honkai Star Rail today and play for yourself. There's never been a better time to get started. New players, use my link down below to download the game. Once you're in-game, just enter this promo code, 9TRB7C2LDQVP, to get your hands on some extra 50 Stellar Jade. And as always, have a damn good day, and may the journey lead you starward.